Hey everybody, welcome back to another action figure unboxing and review, Marvel Legends edition. And today we're going to be taking a look at this Wolverine Sabretooth 2-pack. And this is part of the 50-year anniversary of Wolverine's first appearance in Incredible Hulk number 180 and 181, which are issues I have, by the way, I'm happy to say. This is what many people were anticipating for the Sabretooth. We've had a few in the past, and I think we even had a Jim Lee Sabretooth design previously, but it's been many years since, and the ones that we had since then haven't been this exact style. We had one that was Age of Apocalypse, that was actually a little bigger than this one. And we had a smaller one that was from his first appearance in Iron Fist, I believe, is what that was designed for. Now, I don't have comparisons to show you because this is the only Sabretooth figure I have. This was my preferred version, so I was waiting for them to release another one of this type, or I was going to get like a Mezco or a Mafex if they ever did this type of Sabretooth. I still might, but they haven't done one yet, so I'm glad this one came out because now I've got a Sabretooth. This is, like I said, this is the only Sabretooth I have in my collection. I do have other Wolverines, but not out of uniform like this. So this is kind of cool to have them in just civilian attire, basically. So we'll get this box, we'll look at the box first and then we'll break it open. I'll probably go over Wolverine first, save the best for last. And you can see the Wolverine there. I already showed you the 50-year logo. Marvel's Logan, Sabretooth. On the side, you've got Wolverine artwork. On the other side, you got Sabretooth artwork. You've got legalese on the bottom. And then on the back, you've got a nice comic book cover type deal there. Although I don't think this is... I don't know if this is an actual comic book cover. This might just be something they drew for the back of this box. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't recognize this cover. So if this is a comic cover, it's from after I stopped collecting. Like, I stopped collecting them around the start of the 21st century. I was mostly a 90s and 80s comic book collector. So I didn't have this one. I don't recognize this one. This one, though, I do have, and I do recognize. This is Sabretooth and Wolverine's first fight in Marvel, because before this, he had been in, like I said, he had been an Iron Fist villain. He only did appear in the one Iron Fist issue. I don't remember if he made another appearance in when Iron Fist and Power Man combined their two runs into one series. He also appeared in Power Pack at one point, and I have that issue as well. I was a big Sabretooth fan when I was younger, when I was in the 80s and the 90s. He was one of my favorites, along with Venom. So I did collect a lot of the issues that they were in. And yeah, like I said, I've got this one. And I've got the Power Pack one, although the Power Pack one is in worse condition. So you also get a blurb here. And you can read that, pause and read it as you want. It comes in multiple languages. Looks like French, German, Spanish, and probably Portuguese or Italian. I'm not sure. And then you got more legalese on the bottom. So let's get this open. And as you can see on the background there, you got comic book. The cover of that Wolverine issue where he and Sabretooth fight for the first time. And then you have other pages and stuff. I can't... Yeah, it looks like they're pages from the actual issue. I would highly recommend you track down that issue and read it, probably online, because I imagine that it's kind of pricey, the actual comic issue. But if you have like a subscription to Marvel Unlimited like I do, read that issue because it's pretty cool. In fact, that whole series is pretty cool. I have a lot of the issues in that series, including the mini series that came before that issue started, or that series started. So it's a really good series. Wolverine was another one of my favorites growing up. Him and Spider-Man. I have like McFarlane's whole run of Spider-Man. Both amazing, and when he had his own separate book after he left Amazing, and they gave him the self-titled Spider-Man comic series to go along with Amazing, Spectacular, and Web of. So I've got a lot of those issues. I've got a lot of X-Men issues. I've got a lot of Wolverine issues. I got Deadpool's first appearance. I mean, the 80s weren't a good time for comic book collecting, because everyone was doing it back then. So most of those issues aren't worth squat, but there are exceptions, like the aforementioned Deadpool appearance and the McFarlane run on Spider-Man's pretty valuable, especially the number 300, the first full Venom issue. Okay, so let's go over Wolverine first, or Logan, since he's not in his costume, he doesn't go by. I mean, you can always call him Wolverine, but he usually just goes by his name, or his nickname. His actual name is James Howlett, so. And there he has his claws. Of course, this one's not as nice and neat as the other side. This one came out really nice. Look at that. That's perfect. This one's a little more pushed together. I gotta kind of spread it out a little bit. Yeah, I'll work on that at some other point, because I'm going to put him back in the package when I'm done. I've already got a Wolverine in my display. I don't need another one. Alright, so he's got this nice brown cowboy hat on. His black mutton chops and all that, all his glory. Nice red shirt. I've seen reviews of this character, and I've read or heard, rather, that this is all reuse from a previous version of Wolverine in street clothes. I think he had like a black shirt on that one or something like that. But that's okay, I don't have that one. So this is my first Wolverine in street clothes. And I'm perfectly happy getting reuse, since I don't have the original anyway. Plus this reuse has pinless arms, so that's nice. No pinless legs though, unfortunately. They did paint the belt buckle, which is always nice when they do that. And the belt itself is brown. Nice contrast to the blue jeans on the red shirt. And they even painted the buttons on the shirt, which is also nice. Hasbro doesn't usually go that far. But for this deluxe 50th anniversary pack, I guess they decided that it was worth it. Just plain red shirt on the back, blue jeans, and he's got these brown boots. Very nondescript, which is how Logan tends to carry himself. He's not too flashy, unless he goes to Madripoor with Hulk, and then he dresses in a white tuxedo. Alright, going over articulation. Let's see what kind of joint he's got. He's got the ball and hinge. This is my favorite Hasbro joint. There are other better joints, but this is the best for the Hasbro figures, in my opinion. It gives you the most range of motion. So I prefer it when they use that joint. As you can see, you can almost bury the chin, so that's good. You can look down that far. You can look up a pretty good amount. Not all the way. He kind of catches on the collar there. But he can definitely look up enough that he can see Sabretooth jumping down on top of him. He can do the Exorcist. He's got tilt. No butterfly joints. His arms go all the way around. He can hinge up about 90 degrees. He does have the bicep cut, the aforementioned pinless joints at the elbow. And this is another bone of contention I've seen from people about his articulation. The cut there really exposes the elbow and looks kind of weird if you're looking at it from like this angle. But, I mean, that's the kind of sacrifice you're going to make if you want a really articulated figure. Otherwise, you just have a statue. So it's up to you which one you prefer. He does have the horizontal hinge on his wrists, like so. Unlike most male figures, he comes with a diaphragm cut instead of the ab crunch. So he can get about that far forward and that far back, and he can also twist at the diaphragm, and he can tilt at the diaphragm. But he also has a waist swivel. But he can't tilt at the waist swivel or move forward or back. That's all in the diaphragm cut. All he can do at the waist is tilt. But he can do weird stuff like that. No drop-down hips for this figure. Marvel Legends doesn't tend to do that. That's not to say that they've never done it, but they usually don't. He can't get too much out of a Van Damme. Only spread about that far. He does have a diaphragm, or a thigh cut. He can kick his leg out about that far. That's not too bad. He can kick it back about that far. He does have double jointed knees, but they're pinned. This is reuse of a previous mold for Logan, so they haven't updated it yet. At least not the most recent suited Wolverine had pinless legs, but this one they haven't updated them yet. No boot swivel, since this jean sculpt goes all the way down, and you can't see the boot until you get to the end. Because of the cuff of the jean, you can't get back too far on the boots. You can get forward a bit further, though. And you can swing it back and forth, and he's got peg holes on the bottom. Out of the box, he comes with his clawed hands out, but he also has a gripping hand and another gripping hand. This is more of a closed gripping hand for like holding a tool or something, and this is more of an open gripping hand. He also comes with a full house, queens and sevens, not aces and eights, of course. Not the dead man's hand. You can put this in one of his hands. Yeah, this one looks like it. There, so he can hold his cards. It's got Xavier written on the back. I didn't know Chuck had his own brand of playing cards, but apparently he does. He also comes with an alternate head, which is basically the same face. Actually, he's kind of smirking on this one. This one is just like a straight, normal, dour look, like Wolverine normally looks. And this one, he's got a little bit of a smirk. Also, it looks like his mutton chops are splayed out a little bit more. His hair's kind of sticking out a little bit more on the side. And his hat's black, of course. And it's a different hat, too. You can see the shape is slightly different. So, completely different hat. Different face. Different look on his face, you know. Different hairstyle. You can pick whichever one you want to go with. Alright, now for the main event. Victor Creed, aka Sabretooth, who at one point pretended that he was Wolverine's dad, which isn't true, as we all know now. But he is a mercenary, assassin, hired killer, whatever you want to call him. He's worked for people like the Red Skull, Mr. Sinister, and others. He's one of the most dangerous individuals on the planet of Earth. And just like Wolverine, he has a healing factor, which allows him to recover from some truly remarkable injuries. He does not have claws that come out of his wrists like Wolverine, but he does have fingernails claws. He's also not adamantium. His bones are not adamantium based. that could have changed in the last 20-something years, but when I was reading comics, Sabretooth had not undergone any kind of grafting process like Wolverine did. His bones were not adamantium. So if that has changed in the meantime, you can let me know down below. This is his classic Jim Lee costume. This is how Jim Lee drew him when Jim Lee was drawing for X-Men. He's got that big collar of fur around that kind of makes him look like a lion. And that bright blonde hair. That fierce growling look on his face. I wish his fangs were a little bit longer, but that's not too bad. And his whited out eyes, which was something that he would often look. I don't know how he achieved that effect. I don't think they ever explained it. Because we have seen him with normal pupils before, so it's not like his eyes are always whited out. So I don't know what particularly brings that up, about that change. Maybe just his berserker rage, I don't know. And the costume, as you can see, is this orange and brown. It looks very similar to Wolverine's first costume. And he's got the stripes on the side, just like Wolverine had. Now, he and Sabretooth both worked in the Weapon X program together. So they've known each other a long time. But I don't think that was why Sabretooth looks similar costume-wise. I don't think it had anything to do with it. Actually, I might have... I'm trying to think now. No, I think the yellow and black costume was Wolverine's first costume, wasn't it? This one was this color scheme with his second. I'm getting that mixed up. Anyway, he's got these nice gloves on here with the spike on the back, and that spike's nice and rubbery, but it's still pretty sharp. And his fingernails are kind of sharp too, so be careful, don't get them near your eyes. This is the guy that would probably have benefited from a toe joint, but he probably gets good range of motion out of his feet anyway. Going over articulation, he's got the head, the ball and hinge as well. Let's see. This piece appears to be glued down, but I wouldn't remove it anyway. He looks better with it. So he can definitely bury his chin, as you can see. He can't look up all the way because of the fur on the back. Unfortunately, since it's solid plastic instead of faux fur, he can't push through it. If it was faux fur, you could have probably gotten him to push through it on his head, with his head. He can theoretically do the Exorcist, but with the fur collar, you're not going to be able to get his head all the way around. He's got some tilt going there. Unlike Wolverine, he's got butterfly joints, which is good because there's kind of range of motion that he would like to do. And he can grab Wolverine by the throat. So it's good to give him as much range of motion as possible, because he's a very physical character. His arm can go all the way around. He can hinge up just under 90. He's got a bicep cut. He's got double jointed arms, but he has huge bulging biceps, so it's going to be hard to get all the way on that. But you can get a little bit. Even with the biceps, though, you can get his hand all the way up almost. And his hand's freaking huge. He has huge hands. And he's got a horizontal hinge on both of them. But yeah, they're just freaking large. He has a ab crunch rather than a diaphragm like Logan. He can crunch down about that far, and he can crunch back that far. And he can twist again like he did last summer, do the chubby checker. He's got no tilt, though. That tilt that you see is from the leg. It's kind of moving there. But yeah. Yeah. No tilt. No drop down hips, as usual. He can spread his legs about that far. Can't do the Van Damme. He can kick out about that high, so that looks good. He can kick back that far. He's got the thigh cut, double jointed legs, but they're pinned. So I think these are reused from the Omega Red body, if I remember correctly from what I've heard. And his feet, no boot cut because he's not wearing a boot. This is all kind of just one unitard or leotard or whatever you want to call it. And he can hinge his foot back about that far. He can go forward that far. He can rock. And he's got peg holes on the bottom. So he's got pretty good range of motion, I like. So you're going to be able to get him into a lot of decent poses. So out of the package, he comes with his hands like this. One fully splayed out and the other with a couple of fingers closed, one half closed and one kind of open. He also has a gripping hand for his right and a more splayed out hand for his left to look more like that one. Actually, this is not a lot different from this. Just the thumb. Really just the thumb in the middle, and index fingers are a little bit different. The ring and pinky, so kind of the same. They don't give him any fists. Granted, Sabretooth doesn't do a lot of punching because of his claws. He does way more damage if he claws you than he does if he punches you. But it's weird that they gave him two sets of hands that are very similar. He also comes with an alternate head sculpt, which is just him grinning like a psychopath. I'll probably never use this head sculpt because this ferocious look is by far the best look of Sabretooth. But maybe, for photography purposes, I might have a diaphragm. I might have a diorama at some point that would be more useful for him to be in a calmer state. So I might swap this off at that point. But yeah, 2 head sculpts, 2 sets of hands, just like Logan, except he doesn't come with the playing cards, which you can expect. I mean, Sabretooth isn't much of a card player, I don't imagine. So this is an awesome set. I could have done with just Sabretooth on his own. I didn't really need the Logan. But if we're going to get a Logan, whether we want it or not, this one isn't a bad one to go with. I definitely wanted the Sabretooth though, so it's worth it. And he's big. He's a big guy. I know Wolverine's usually smaller in general anyway, but they really made Sabretooth huge. Now, I've seen other comparisons where he's actually not bigger than the Age of Apocalypse version, but he still looks better like this because this is the Jin Lee style, and this is the one that I like, and this is the one that other people would probably like as well. It's hard to get him to stand just out of the blue. I'm trying to set up a confrontation for the end of the video. I should probably get my stands out next time. I can do it quicker that way. There we go. Or I can just let them stand next to each other. You could basically see the size in the packaging before I opened it up, but if you want to see how they look outside the packaging, standing side by side, you can do that. There. My standing them up straight game is not on right now. But yeah, there you go. You can see just how much bigger Sabretooth is. Definitely a great 2-pack. Probably the best one of the group that we got. I think there were 3 others I only got one of the other ones. I got the Lilandra and the Brood Wolverine one because I wanted a Lilandra figure. And I'm hoping they'll give us some more of the Imperial Guard. I would love a Gladiator redo because the last time we had him was like 2016 or something like that. And I didn't get that one. So I would love if they gave us a Gladiator on the Vulcan body. And then some other members of the Imperial Guard as well. And I've got the Lilandra. And we need a Deathbird. That's probably the most sought after villain that they haven't redone. Actually, I don't think they've ever done a Deathbird. But now that they have Lilandra, maybe a Deathbird isn't that far off, hopefully. In any case, definitely pick this one up, especially if the Jim Lee Sabretooth is your favorite version like mine. The Logan, even though it's more expensive because it's a 2-pack and the Logan isn't in his uniform, it's still a decent Logan. He looks pretty cool. Probably the best civilian outfit Logan that we're going to get. Or one of the best anyway. But it's worth it for Sabretooth. I think the Jim Lee version of Sabretooth on his own, just from previous releases, is probably way more expensive than this 2-pack anyway. And this is more updated. Yeah, it's on the Omega Red body, but that's a big body. So it makes more sense for him to be on that one rather than the Vulcan buck. Pick him up. If you can get Sabretooth on his own, that's probably the way to go. Although I can't imagine anyone buying this 2-pack and being like, I just want the Logan, but I'm going to sell my Sabretooth. That's probably going to be the other way around, more likely. It's still worth picking up. Comment down below. Let me know if you grabbed this 2-pack. Like I said, this was my favorite of the bunch that they gave us last year and this year. Definitely my preferred. So like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.